Welcome to NBA Weekly with your host, DTLF.
What up, family? It's your boy DTLF back with another NBA Weekly episode. I hadn't done this one in a couple of weeks, so decided to catch up today. Perfect time to do it. Everybody had fun watching the NBA last night, especially since our Lakers didn't play and there was no sort of setbacks for us. As a matter of fact, somebody was able to propel us forward. But before we get into that, I'm going to for sure talk about Maxi Kleber because we do have an update here for you guys, and that is the fact that Maxi Kleber is almost back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to get an update officially tomorrow. However, here he is seen practicing and getting some jump shots up, and that's nothing but good news right there for us. Very, very excited for what's to come here. He's going to bring it. People have been asking, what is he going to bring to this team, right? Is he going to get minutes? I'll tell you this. As of right now, we don't know because it all depends on how healthy he's going to be. He's been injured all year. So even when he does get back on the court, how healthy is he really going to be? As you can see right here, he's barely showing any mobility signs or anything crazy like that. So what's up, Kimmy Goat? Whose minutes is he going to take up? Well, we tend to go small off the bench. I can definitely see a scenario where you plug him in depending on the matchups, and he's able to floor space for us. It adds a different element. We don't have a five who can stretch the floor like the way he can. We have some small ball fours like DFS and Rui and guys like that. But this guy's more of a closer to five. He's 6'10", 6'11", somewhere around there. And, so he's going to get whatever minutes he can eat up. It all depends on how he looks again. This guy's a very capable shot taker and shot maker. He is a floor spacer and a decent rebounder. He's nothing too out of the ordinary, but playing alongside Luka makes everybody look great. So I can definitely see a scenario where he gets some minutes from somewhere, maybe 10 to 12 minutes per game. Playoffs would be huge to add a floor spacer. It would add, again, a different look to our team. And we don't know what we would look like with somebody like Maxi Kleber coming back. But the good news is that the man is almost ready, and we're going to get that update real soon. Matter of fact, tomorrow during pregame, I will give you guys the update, whatever I have. Brian, what's up, man? He said, what seed do you want the Lakers to end up at? I want just the top 4 seed. I would love it if we were the number 2 seed. We just beat the Rockets. There's a couple of important games going on tonight. But we just got to keep winning, only controlling what we can. I would love a top 4 seed because, like I said, I want the first round of the playoffs to be at home. That's for sure. So, yeah, that's the one thing I need. But as you can see, there's some good games going on tonight. You got Knicks versus Cavs. That has nothing to do with us. But then the Jazz Rockets. Can the Jazz actually pull off an upset? I highly doubt that. They're tanking, but you never know. We've seen crazier things in the NBA. And then the Spurs are facing the Nuggets tonight at 6. And, I'm going to save this topic of conversation about the Nuggets, but they just lost. And what was a double overtime? Great game, by the way, that almost got ruined by the officials, but at the end of the day, they righted their wrongs by finally calling the final play properly. But this was a great game, probably one of the games of the year for sure. And the Timberwolves versus Nuggets, and the Timberwolves won. So shout out to the Timberwolves for doing the Lord's work and helping us a little bit in the NBA standings. And then you also have Clippers, Pelicans. Not that one matters much, but yeah, those are all teams that are hovering and could be first round potential matchups. The Clippers, the Warriors, teams like that. So who knows who we match up versus? But as long as we got home court, I'm happy. And as you can look at the standings here, Lakers are currently half a game behind the Nuggets, who play tonight. If we're able to beat the Warriors, then the Nuggets somehow lose tonight, which they can. They're coming off a double overtime. Go Spurs tonight. Then we will leapfrog them for third, and we will be a game and a half behind the Rockets, assuming both of those things happen. Right now, obviously, the Rockets got some tough games ahead as well. So somehow, if the Lakers just take care of business, looking at our schedule, right, we got the Warriors obviously coming up. That one's going to be tough. They've won 8. They're 18-2 with Jimmy Butler, so they did improve tremendously. But I still believe wholeheartedly that in the playoffs they won't be much of a threat, and we're a much better team than they are. So I wouldn't fear them in the first round. Then we got the Pelicans. Should be a win on paper. No Zion, no CJ. But again, teams like the Pelicans have snuck up on us. So we are going to be nervous. Followed by the Thunder back-to-back. If we just split these two after winning these two, then we will be 2 games away from reaching 50 for the first time in years. Then we got the Mavericks. We know this has to be a win for Luka right here. This one has to be. We cannot let Luka down on this one. And then we play the Rockets again. And this is the second to last game before the year ends. Guys, that might be the one for the number 2 seed. If that one's still in play and the number 2 seed, this will be the biggest game of the year. And then we'll finally end it with the tanking Portland Trailblazers. So I am expecting 5 out of the next 7 at least. Okay, and I know it's a high expectation. I get it. But that's what I'm expecting for sure. And hopefully we do that. Hopefully we do come out here and do the right thing. Let's see here. Westbrook out helping the Lakers. Who would have thought? Finally, right? Is what everybody's saying. He's finally helping the Lakers. I'm very excited about that. And I got a segment of Over the Hedge that you guys are going to want to see because Denver Nuggets fans have done a complete 180 on Russell Westbrook. First, they were like, oh, LeBron's the problem, this, and that. When we rolled our eyes, we've been rolling our eyes since he went to the Clippers, and they said the same thing. Now, Clipper fans, all 7 of them, said the same thing we were saying, that he was a big problem. So, again, we saw the Russell Westbrook specialty last night, and that is one of the main reasons, not the only reason, but that's one of the main reasons I don't really have them that high on my list as everybody else does. My guy said, hey, watch, Denver is sitting their starting 5. Man, I won't have time to do hate watch today since I'm doing this show, and then I got to do something after this, and then I'll be gaming later on tonight. But we did a phenomenal hate watch last night. If you guys weren't there, definitely make sure you guys tap in next time because it's going to be a lot of fun, especially right before the playoffs. If Denver is sitting all of their players, then the Spurs have a great chance, though. So you never know. I might pop in for the 4th quarter, but make sure you guys download playback for sure. 2 of your least favorite players in the NBA had insane box scores yesterday directly after Nakomi told you we got to respect grades. The irony. No, D-Free. The real irony is that I told you the Timberwolves were legit, and you said last night that you didn't expect them to do much, and they beat one of your favorite teams, which is the Denver Nuggets, clearly, because you love Jokic, man. So don't try to bring the Kobe into this. Is between me and you, man. And I keep telling you, man, 60 points didn't matter. He still took a L to one of the struggling teams in the West. And at the end of the day, I was right about that. The Timberwolves are definitely going to be a dark horse in the Western Conference, just like I've been predicting since earlier in the season when everybody gave up on them after the Cat trade. And that's that. Game versus Golden State will be another dogfight playoff game. Should be a great one. I look forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun for sure. That's going to be a blast, matter of fact. Let's see here. Why do other Lakers podcast channels fear potential playoff matchups against the Warriors? How do you feel about it? I don't fear the Warriors. I think they're a first-round exit at best, and that's best-case scenario for them. They took advantage of the easier part of the schedule that they've had for sure, and congratulations to them. They overachieved. They exceeded my expectations a little bit, but I think if we beat them, we smack them down to, I don't know, 7th or 8th, depending on how the rest of the games go. And obviously they got Curry, but we've taken care of that problem before. We've taken care of the Jimmy Butler problem before. Now we got to take care of both of them. If you can slow both of those guys down, where's the scoring going to come from in a 7-game series? Draymond? Don't make me laugh. Pods? Too young, unexperienced, hasn't really done it consistently in the regular season for me to trust him if I'm a Warrior fan. And then what's the other one? Kuminga can't shoot threes. They don't have a lot of depth outside of their big 3, right? So we actually have the depth. That's the reason I don't fear them. I tend to look at the bigger picture while everybody looks in the moment. That's why I get these predictions right most of the time. OKC about to rest their guys versus us unless they want to push for 70 wins. Which that didn't work out. The last team that did it, I mean, they might rest their guys, but who knows, man? For a potential playoff matchup, if I'm the Thunder, I'm having them play to try to gauge us. Because if they just rest their guys and we end up matching up in the Western Conference Finals or something, it's going to be kind of a question mark. They haven't gauged us with, Luka. So a lot of teams, I think, are going to try to gauge us to see how we look. And they're going to give us their best shot. I'd be surprised if OKC rests all their guys. But then again, you're right. I mean, if they can and they already, clinched the number 1 spot, then maybe they want to be fresh. We'll see. What bothers me the most is Clippers and Nuggets fans didn't even pay Westbrook a max contract like we did, and they still can't do anything without him. Let me tell you something, bro. Laker fans are vindicated. We try to tell every other fan base out there that Russell Westbrook is not a winning type player. Now we got Nick Wright saying the same thing. I seen his little clip today. He was saying the exact same thing we were saying the moment Westbrook came here and just shit the bed. The exact same thing. Westbrook hasn't been good. He's had good spurts, but we know at the end of games he can be an atrocity. And that's why we are betting against the Denver Nuggets this year. But even before that, I already didn't like their team the way it was constructed. Jamal Murray's always hurt. Jokic is overrated as shit. And everybody, people want to crown him the MVP for the 60-point performance. He had 24 free throws yesterday. I don't want to hear it. Those 60-plus point performances versus a struggling Timberwolves who was missing DiVincenzo and was missing Nas Reed. And yes, obviously the Nuggets were missing Jamal Murray, but 24 free throws, I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. I'm not crowning him MVP over a loss performance. Okay, we're not doing that. No. I said the Wolves would win versus Denver. They were constructed to beat the Nuggets specifically. They were made by the Nuggets GM after they won their chip. That's no surprise. No, but the Timberwolves are, like I said yesterday, one of the, scarier first-round matchups only because they're so young, hungry, and they got a lot of size in the front court. And so, yeah, that they're going to be interesting for sure. I don't think anybody fears anybody. There's nothing wrong with wanting to avoid a specific matchup. That always has been the case in the playoffs. Yeah, for sure. That's been the case in the playoffs for the Clippers or losing franchises that are afraid to go through anybody. Listen, if you're going to win a championship at the end of the day, you're not afraid to go through anybody. And, yeah, we could talk about what matches we rather avoid as fans, but the players, they're going to be ready no matter who they play for sure. It'll be a fun playoff series for sure. I don't want the matchup, but I bet we win in 6 at worst. Yeah, for sure. Wait, what playoff matchup we're talking about? The Timberwolves one or the Warriors one? Because those are the two that are talked about the most. I think some fans want to avoid the Warriors just because of all the screens that Curry's going to run us through and all the little dirty plays from Draymond. I get that. But it would take a real pleasure to see LeBron and the Lakers eliminate Curry a second time in the playoffs. It would just, you end any sort of debate, anything that had to do with LeBron and Curry, it ends right there. The Nuggets and Wolves game told me a lot about both teams. T-Wolves are dangerous against the right opponent. The Nuggets need those points from Jokic and still lost. They are in trouble. They've been in trouble all year. Yes, sir, CJ. Yes, sir. Ball. Nuggets been in trouble all year, and Jokic won't be able to save them, even with 60, with his career high. Even with 24 giveies. And we all saw that game, right? We saw that the refs were cheating at the end, quite literally, and couldn't swallow the whistle on the last blatant foul by Russell Westbrook. But the whole time, man, even the jump ball was called a foul, and they put him at the free throw line. Like, you're in double overtime. You let them play, right? So it is what it is. Counter argument is you save your guys for the playoffs. You don't need to see how good they are. It's a shrewd move to tank versus us and save it for later. We'll see what they decide to do. I have a feeling, though, that Oklahoma City is going to play their guys versus us. I have a crazy feeling, especially if they can impact the standings with us, playing for sure. I don't like the Warriors matchup. I'm worried. You're worried? Really? Okay. Those are your thoughts. I don't agree. I'm not really that worried about the Warriors, to be honest with you. They've been great during the regular season. They got a little jolt out of the trade. Right, they were on the verge of not even making the playoffs, and then they did that trade and they got a jolt, which we mentioned on this show. That barring any crazy trades, they weren't probably going to make the playoffs. Well, they had their crazy trade. However, they depleted their depth in the process. And teams can look good in the regular season, and then come playoff time, they might end up looking like the Suns, who got swept. You never know. But I don't really like their depth at all. For the playoffs, no. For a 7-game series where teams make adjustments and they're going to try to take Curry out of the games entirely and make it as hard for him as possible. And then Jimmy, again, getting on the older side for sure. He's reinvigorated. He's playing alongside Curry and he's played alongside Draymond and all of that. New city, new team. But that's only going to take you so far. I hear people saying he lost any chance to get the MVP last night, not the other way. Also, on your point, the Wolves are now one of the few teams that is top 10 in offense and defense. I've been hearing everybody say Jokic is MVP because he carried all those scrubs. That was a different narrative when the season started. All right, when they added Westbrook, I clearly remember they were glazing him, talking about, oh, LeBron just didn't know how to use him in this and this and that. And now we're going to go over the hedge to see the opposite end of that spectrum for sure. But all I will say is this: as far as the Nuggets and everything, I have a feeling they're about to fall off a little bit. I don't know if they'll lose or win tonight's game. I don't really trust the Spurs to do anything, but they got the young guns for sure. It'll be interesting to see if they can do that. If they can't do it for whatever reason, if they can't get the job done, I wouldn't be surprised. The games have already started though, and the Rockets are for surely going to beat the Jazz. It'd be a miracle if the Jazz pull that off. So let's not count on that to happen. The Knicks, again, I mentioned yesterday, they're one of my dark horses to maybe potentially make a run in the playoffs. They haven't beat any good teams. Right now, they're currently up on the Cavs, so hopefully that continues. And then again, Spurs, golden opportunity to capitalize here. Nuggets coming off a double overtime back-to-back. They're probably going to rest a bunch of players. We'll see what happens there. But again, the NBA, man, especially in the Western Conference, is just always so entertaining, like supremely entertaining. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out and what the standings end up being. Like, if the playoffs started tonight, guys, we would clearly be facing the Golden State Warriors if they started tonight. But they don't start tonight. These standings are going to look a lot different by the time the playoffs roll around. We could end up 3 or maybe even, God willing, we could end up the top 2 seed. And we could face any of those teams below us, God forbid above us, but below us, right? The Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves. Heck, there's a scenario where we might even face the Clippers in the first round. Can y'all imagine if the Mavericks, I think the Mavericks stay at 9, but they get into the play-in, if we scoot up to the 2nd seed and then they end up squeezing into the number 7 seed, that would be an interesting first-round matchup just because AD's over there. Like, just so many different play scenarios, but it's not likely for the Mavericks one to happen. But you got to love it, man. Everybody's playing hungry right now. We got a bunch of teams on the schedule that are going to play us very hungry, including the Warriors, who we got up next. And all we got to do is focus on ourselves and, that's it. Worry about what we can, nothing else. History tells us the Warriors should be worried about running into us. Yeah, tell them, Brian. Listen, man. Everybody likes to ride the hot hand. That was just a week ago. ESPN got back on the Clipper ship. Okay, so that'll tell you how that people love riding the hot hand. Right now, the Warriors are hot. Can't deny it. We're about to cool them down come tomorrow, though. I can't wait for that. That's going to be a great game, Brian. Can't wait. Nuggets also are missing MPJ. Yeah, the Warriors, Wolves are interesting for sure. Also, Warriors are 16th in offense and 6th on defense. You can slow them down. It'll be interesting for sure. A part of me wants the Warriors in the first round, but it really, to me, it's all about, when the playoffs come and everything slows down and nobody's jacking up half-court shots and doing all this little fucking Harlem Globetrotter crap that Steph Curry loves to do. And you're really starting to double team him and trap him and throw bigger wings on him and try to neutralize him. That's the game within the game. How many people are going to do that to Luka? How many players they got over there that can trap and slow down Luka, right? Jimmy Butler, right? And then who? Draymond after that? What about LeBron? What about Austin? Rui when he gets off, right? I just feel like we have just so much more depth. I'm not too concerned. For me, the playoffs are all about depth. Regular season, you can get away with a player getting hot and going crazy, and then you don't have to see that team again. So there will be no adjustments made to like weeks or months after when you see them again. But playoffs, the adjustments are like this, right? And the teams that adjust the best are the teams that end up winning each series, but also the team that has the most talent in depth. So I think when you factor all those things together, I think the Lakers have more than enough to beat a lot of teams in the West, if not all. I think all of them, but we'll see. I mean, TBD, right? That's just my thoughts. JJ has a tall task at hand. Let's see if he's up to the challenge and if he's going to do his best, or is he going to shrink under the pressure? We've never seen JJ coach in the playoffs. We've seen him in the regular season, and in the regular season, good job so far. 17 games over 500 in spite of the injuries and trades. Great job. Now come the playoffs. The real test, the real legends are made in the playoffs, not in the regular season. And I can't wait. And we're going to do a bunch of hate watches over on Playback. So Kimiko, thank you for posting the link. Make sure you guys tap in there. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. This is the best time of the year for sure. Let's see here. How do we feel about JJ going into the first playoffs as a coach? I'm somewhat confident in him. Only thing I've noticed, he could be stubborn sometimes, but I'm somewhat confident in JJ. I have to, I'm gonna take a wait and see approach. I'm gonna take a wait and see approach with JJ. I think he has the potential to become a really great coach, a really great coach in this league. Some might argue that he's already a top 10 coach. Okay, but you got to prove it in the postseason. That's where both of the head coaches are going to lock in. The coaching staffs are going to lock in. They're going to draw out their best X's and O's on both ends and their best strategies and schemes to try to slow down the opponent while getting the best offensive opportunities for your own team. So I'm fairly confident. I'd say if I had to put a number on it, I'm a 7 out of 10 on JJ Redick right now for the postseason. On a regular season, 9 out of 10. I love what he's done so far, with the exception of a couple of moves. But outside of that, I've loved what he's done. Can't really be too critical on a coach that has a brand new team, 17 games over 500 in the tough Western Conference. So when you factor all of that, I'm excited to see what he can do. And, I'm confident in the team. I'm confident in the coaching staff to a certain degree. And let's see, it's time to put up or shut up. Playoffs will reveal all the realities. We can talk the talk right now. Come playoff time, everything is revealed, right? The weaknesses, the strengths, who's him, Austin Reeves, LeBron, Luka, who's going to step up and be the true leader? All of them, maybe even at times, There's going to be games where LeBron is off and Luka steps up, and hopefully Austin or somebody else, Rui. There's going to be a game where Luka's off and LeBron steps up. And then there's going to be games where they all step up. God forbid there's too many games where none of them step up. That's all I ask, right? Try to figure out how to get 2 out of our 3 stars going on most nights, and we'll have a great shot at winning. And then the role players, too. I mean, we're a different team when the role players step up. Gabe Vincent, will he be Miami Vice Heat Gabe? And DFS, can he continue to unlock his full potential? We know he's a great role player. We need that in the postseason. He's got a lot of familiarity with Luka and all of that. So just a lot of question marks will be answered. Very excited. D Free says, well, I think the biggest testament to his greatness is that's nothing new. He's faced that his whole league and career, and still himself for the most part. He will have a clunker every now and then and recover. My biggest testament from LeBron to the league is the fact that he can make it work with everybody. He's, every time he went to a new team or got a new co-star, they said it wouldn't work. They said it wouldn't work. 2 ball dominant, D Wade, LeBron, Chris Bosh. There's only one basketball wouldn't work. Worked. Kyrie, LeBron worked. LeBron James, AD worked. Luka, LeBron working. So it just tells me that we have one of the most unselfish superstars in the history of all time in LeBron. And he's able to sacrifice stats if he wants to. And when we need him to turn up, he's able to do that. Even at the age of 40, he's pretty spectacular. Playoff Luka is going to be fun, bro. It's going to be a blast. Playoff Luka is everything, chat. Playoff Luka is everything. And that's why we really brought him in, because he's that killer who can go alongside another killer and another killer. We got 3 killers, in my opinion, all in different times. I think LeBron is the type of killer that sets everybody up and then tries to have that crazy good quarter in the fourth. I like, sometimes he goes off early and then he sets everybody up late. He mixes it up a bit, but lately what he's been doing is he's been setting everybody up the first couple quarters and then being really aggressive in the second half, especially in the fourth. Luka's been kind of the opposite. He's been going off early and then, kind of setting everybody up once he starts getting double team and blitzed. And that's when the teammates get to eat, right? Austin's been a mix of everything, but he's been very clutch towards the end of games. So he's been somewhat of our primary closer, you could even say, because Luka and LeBron both trust him. So he's had the ball in his hands a lot, which has been very pleasant to watch. And the role players, they just got to play their role. They got to knock down their open shots. There's a lot of high-pressure basketball coming up. Not easy to play for the bright lights, especially during the postseason. The questions, every mistake will be microscoped. Everything will be, maximized in the eyes of, basketball fans. But it's time to see what each and every single individual in this organization is made of, right? D Free says, it's not only JJ got some amazing minds on his staff and roster. I do wonder if he's a coach that is better at game-to-game adjustments versus in-game. That's the question. Yeah, we're gonna find out what type of coach he is. I hope he's an in-game adjuster, because you win more games that way, in my opinion. But I wouldn't mind a game-to-game adjuster either, right? How many times were we begging for Darvin Ham to start Rui when he was doing a decent job guarding Jokic when we went to the Western Conference Finals. And even though he did a great job game one, he never went back to that, right? Same thing with going big in that series, It's just, I hope he's not a stubborn coach and he can learn on the fly. That'll be the best. That'll be the absolute best. Now, LeBron, the Steph stuff on how you throw wings, etc., and how it slows down in the offs. We're gonna lock him up, man. I've seen Vandal do it. If he's healthy, we're gonna lock up Steph. He might get his 30 or 40, but as long as it's inefficient, we want one of those 15 for 40 shooting nights, where he gets exhausted, he overshot, shot his team right out of it, and we're able to lock him up for the most part. Even if he gets his 30 plus points, we want him to work for it. Yeah, if we do end up being the matchup. But again, we're going to get a glimpse of a potential matchup tomorrow. I look forward to seeing it. It's New Look Warriors versus New Look Lakers. They haven't faced off since they both made trades. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, Kimiko. Appreciate it. All right, let's see. That's a great question that needs to be answered. D-Free, totally agree with you on JJ. Can't wait. A lot of questions that need to be answered on JJ. He is a rookie coach, so even though he's shown us the ability and capability to command the locker room in the regular season, will it translate when guys are yelling at each other? How will he command the locker room when the pecking order is a little bit off? When guys are pointing at each other because they missed a defensive assignment? That's when he really needs to command that locker room. All right, guys, it is NBA Weekly, so I'm going to get off the Laker topic for a bit. Want to talk about something that just was so glorious last night, man. We all saw it. We all saw, and we were all vindicated by it, and that is Russell Westbrook happened. Right? Russell Westbrook happened last night, and it was in the most glorious way possible. He blows the layup first here. Wide open layup. Nobody contesting. Blows it, right? And it's almost like Alexander Walker already knew because he was there ready to rebound. Look at this. Boom. Rebounds. Then he makes matters worse because not only does he get back into play late, but he overplays this guy in the corner and fouls him, guys. That is Russell Westbrook at his core right there. And I love the fact that it happened because for the longest, we Laker fans got a bad rap for slandering our star players. That's what they said. We were slandering too much, right? They said that LeBron James ruined his career. They said that Laker fans were the worst. They said that Russ is Russ. Let Russ be Russ. Just let Russ have fun. Well, it's time for another episode of Over the Hedge, all right? And this is the mini segment where we look over the hedge and see what their fans are talking about. Because remember, at the start of this season, they were saying that Westbrook wasn't the problem, that he was actually a solution that would help propel their team, right? And so now we're going to go ahead and shine the light on their fan base. I literally had to go and look up tweets from the Denver Nuggets Twitter page. This guy right here, Luca, says, if Westbrook is so much of a liability during the regular season, imagine how he'll do in the playoffs. They're finally starting to realize this. He said, Jokic playing with scrubs, 61-point triple-double, and they still lose the game. Isn't that funny how they're called scrubs? They were being glorified, and they were supposedly going to be one of the favorite teams, and now they're saying bench Russ, right? Here's one of my fellow Laker fans doing the Lord's work. Matter of fact, let me give him a like, because he said, we tried to warn y'all. Yes, indeed, we did. Absolutely, we did, and the irony in all this is that they never listen, Yes, you're going to have people that defend him, of course. Yes, Westbrook missed an easy layup with 10 seconds left and a 1-point lead. He could have dunked the ball, dribbled away, and killed time. He fouled a 3-point shooter with 1/10 of the second left, but by far the worst thing he did was after missing the layup, he stood under the basket for a second and then jogged back. That's unforgivable. He is a big pouty baby. We've always known this about him. There's nothing new about this man right here, right? We know what Russell Westbrook is. Yes, he's a Hall of Famer. He left the best part of his career in OKC. Once he lost some of that explosion, he gets kind of stuck between laying the ball up and dunking the ball. That's what I noticed. He's really struggling with the loss of his athleticism. I think mentally a lot of superstars do this, right? When they're young and they're prime, they play a game a certain way. And then as they get older and they become a liability, some of them have even ended up playing overseas because they couldn't adapt to the modern game and figuring out how to become role players. And you're not the star anymore, Russ. And until he figures that out, he will continue to hurt his teams. And it looks like he'll never figure it out. Okay, he's been from team to team for a reason. This guy says Jokic is playing with a bunch of trash around him. Come to LA. No, no, thank you. But it's funny. It's funny because their fans were saying that again, that they were a championship contender, that we were going to regret letting Russ go, and that the Clippers also messed up, and this and that. Now it's a complete opposite here on Over the Hedge. And here's a funny one, and this is what Westbrook fans look like. Very, very hypocritical. Check it out. Player fan at his core. Before you guys send hate towards Russell Westbrook, remember, you aren't just attacking a player, but a father, a husband, and a Christian. One bad game shouldn't take away what he brought to the struggling franchise. She'll look forward to seeing him continue to lead our Nuggets. Oh, my God, bro. You got to be kidding me, y'all. So righteous of you. One bad game. Basketball is a merit-based, bro. He deserves the criticism. Talk to him. Nobody's slandering his family or his religion, by the way. It's just so funny. This is so funny, man. Nuggets are undefeated without choking Westbrook. Now they call him choking Westbrook. Oh, man. All of that has nothing to do with basketball. Thank you. Some common sense. Let me go ahead and hit the like for my boy right there. I'm not blaming Russ. I am blaming Malone, who allowed him to run the court. That's funny. Now we're gonna blame another coach. We fired a coach. Here's a fun fact: we fired Frank Vogel mainly due in part to Russell Westbrook. Right? We fired him mainly due in part to Russell Westbrook, and now you got a fan base that's blaming a whole another coach that, by the way, already won a championship as well. For mistakes that a player does. That is the epitome of player fans. They can never take accountability, and they will always look for ways to dance around the subject matter. And so there you have it. Another episode of Around the League. I'm sorry, not Around the League. Over the Hedge. A little mini episode right there. All right, I'll answer some more questions. Let's see here. Do we think Vandal will be in the rotation of playoffs? I can see him playing 10 to 15 minutes on certain matchups. If he's 110% healthy, yes, we're going to need him for certain players. He's definitely still our best defender. I think maybe there's a chance he's not fully healthy, just like a bunch of other players on the roster. But we're going to need Vando at some point. I don't know if he'll play every series. I think depending on the matchups, in the past, on our run to the Western Conference Finals, there was times when even Darvin Ham put him away. So we'll see. That's a good question, by the way. Russell finally coming through for the Lakers. That is something I've been reading all morning long, man. All morning long. So I love it. I love that one-liner right there. Count Bricula. Let's see here. Thank you, Kimiko. Appreciate you. All right. Crap just coming in. No worries. You came in the best part. We were slandering Russell Westbrook. And you want to know what really bothered me about Russell Westbrook at the end last night? Is the fact that he turns around and starts arguing with fans after he ruined the game. It's like, you didn't even feel bad enough? Couldn't even put your ego away and, tuck your head and go to the locker room? He still argued with a fan, and I think it was a home fan. And somebody probably told him, "You suck, Russ. We lost because of you," or something. And it's gonna be, it's sad. It's sad when your ego gets in the way of your success. That's when it's really sad. I guess Father Time had a chase down block on Russ. No, it wasn't even a chase down block. What it was just Russell Westbrook no longer being the same explosive player he once was, and him not being able to cope with it. Because if he did, I think he would change a lot of his techniques, the way he lays the ball up. You don't always have to go 110 miles an hour. He could have slowed down, pump faked them, let him jump, and then laid it up. I mean, you just got to be smarter. That's all. We play tomorrow, Die Hard, in one of the biggest games of the season to date. Yes, sir. Absolutely. But isn't it funny how they try to cope? It's just insane. It's just insane how certain player fans, not all of them, some are very educated and awesome, but Russell Westbrook fans were toxic when they were here in LA. I'll tell you that. I have personal experience. All right, I had death threats in my chat when that happened. Just for criticizing his game, and it's like, did you guys see the blasphemous guy who said he's a Christian, a father, this and that, bro? People are going to criticize his game because his ego continues to get in the way, and that's the unfortunate part. Regret letting Russ go when we had him on a max contract, but they got mad when we held them to that standard. Thank you. You're absolutely right. Listen, Laker fans rarely regret anything. We're a very educated fan base, and when we say something, we mean it. And people are very sensitive. We're in a different era now. People are very sensitive to certain things. They're going to get offended, right? Somebody asked me the other day if I regretted trading Anthony Davis because we had a bad defensive game. I said, fuck no. And it's not because AD is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's not because I'm not grateful for everything he did. It's not because he's not one of my favorite Lakers to have worn the jersey. But it's because we got somebody who's going to be more of my favorite Laker because he's just a different level of player at this point of his career, right? We're talking about 32 versus 26. We're talking about one of the faces of the league now already. I think by next year, he'll be the face of the league. We're talking about just somebody who's truly spectacular. There's no way in hell real Laker fans are going to regret anything that has to do with getting better on this roster, regardless of what everybody panties in a bunch and how much of a personal relationship they thought they had with a specific player. It's all about the name on the front of the jersey. And if we got better, which we did, then I'm happy and I'm ecstatic. And then that'll continue to happen. Same thing. I love Austin Reeves, but if Ant-Man became available, you better bet your ass I'm going to be first in line to say trade Reeves, right? Because I hold no loyalty to the players. I hold loyalty to the franchise. I want to get better always, and I want to win championships always. And that's the way it should be. That's the way fandom should be. It would eliminate a lot of this weird, insecure fan bases that are out here saying, oh, let Russ be Russ. Remember, he's a father. He's a Christian. He's a Catholic. He's a Mormon. You know, it would eliminate all of that sensitivity, and we could just go straight to being fans, right? So that's my take on that. And I'm going to get into Ja Morant in a bit because that's another player right there we got to definitely go in on. He also missed a free throw right before that too, bro. D-free. When I tell you we were doing the hate watch with so much joy when that happened, he literally lost the Nuggets the game. Everything he did. And what did I keep saying in that during the game, guys? I kept saying, if you're a Timberwolves fan, you want the ball in Russ's hands. I just had a feeling he was going to ruin it. I've seen it happen so many times as a Laker fan when he was here, right? So that's what I'm saying. That, you know, it's the irony in all of this is that we already knew when they acquired Westbrook this offseason. We made, and I went live. We were talking about it here in the chat. We said, can't wait till he starts messing up when it come to playoff time, and they're playing high pressure basketball, and he starts blowing games for them. That's when they're really going to find out what we already knew. So we look, as Laker fans, we had to find out the hard way. I won't lie. When Russ came here, I thought he would buy in because he's from the LA area. And I thought he would actually drop his ego and sacrifice his numbers. But when he came in with that third person talking about let Russ be Russ and all this and that, they finally see Russ's true colors. Yeah, they do. And I'm glad they do. It's about time. But now let's talk about somebody else's true colors, because Stephen A. Smith today was pleading with the NBA to not fine or suspend Ja to let him play. And while I would usually agree with it because it was a simple gun gesture, in this case, I think the NBA has to come down with the hammer of Thor on him because he never learns. He doesn't learn. I'm not talking about suspension, but a very hefty fine. He's been in trouble for gun issues before. He had no business doing that. Bro, Ja, you grew up in the burbs, bro. You're not from the hood. You're not from where I'm from. You're not from where anybody's from. You have your own story to tell, and it's on the basketball court, and you're not going to be allowed to finish your chapter if you continue the foolery. It's really stupid. He's aiming a gun at Curry, one of the golden childs of the NBA. How do you think the NBA is going to react? And I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with Stephen A. Smith because he could be very hypocritical. First, he went at an actual innocent family and the James family and tried to drag them. And now you're defending this wannabe thug, this wannabe gangster who's really from the burbs. I'm more gangster than Ja, and I'm not even a gangster. And that'll tell you everything you need to know about Ja Morant. Now, this hip-hop culture that they listen to isn't your life, bro. You're not, just because you got money don't mean you got to try to turn your life into a music video with strippers and guns and all this shit. You're not about that life, Ja. And you should focus before you lose all your opportunities to just be a tremendous player. Fun fact, I almost bought my nephew a Ja Morant jersey until he started the antics. Right? I don't want my nephew or any young kid looking up to this guy because he's not the smartest guy. You know, and that's unfortunate for him because he has always been talented, been a fan of his since he was in college. All right. But sometimes the talent just doesn't, the brains don't match the talent. And that's when you have a star who had the potential to even be one of the faces of the league and just decided he didn't want that because it's either too much pressure or he wants to be immature. I'm beyond disappointed with Ja. I already don't expect nothing. This is the reason I will not put them in the contender conversation. They don't have any true leadership. He's supposed to be your best player. Even if he's not the leader on the team, he's supposed to be a leader on the team. And, he's one of the reasons I believe the coach got fired as well. And I wouldn't be shocked if he gets traded. It's just been too many things happening with John Morant over the last couple of years where it's to the point where it's like, what's going on, right? What's going on? It's like, dude, the lights are on, but nobody's home. You got to figure it out, right? You tremendous talent, and you hate to see it. You hate to see it, but it is what it is. Appreciate you, Kimmy Coates. Let's see here. Hey, Dan, is the words of the late Eazy-E. There are a whole lot of studio gangsters out here, people pretending to be something they are not. And it's not good for you, man. You got a little sister that looks up to you, man, that plays basketball. There was a bunch of little kids buy your shoes and your jersey and your shirt. And like, dude, you over here pointing guns. It's not a big deal to me if it was his first time or if he really didn't have all the off-court BS that he got going every year going on. Right? Like, it's not a big deal to me. Trust me. But I just thought it was really hypocritical of Stephen A to be so lenient on Ja Morant and then so critical of LeBron James. Like, nah, bro. One is a true role model. One is, he came from a single parent. A true role model by every sense of the word in King James. And the other one is not. So you defend the one that's not. And the one that is, you attack. It says a lot about who you are as an analyst, as a person. And so, I just thought I had to address that because I'm like, we know what Ja Morant is all about. He's too old to still be trying to find his identity. Leave that to the high school kids, man. You know what I mean? You're a grown-ass man. So I think he's going to get traded, maybe even as soon as this offseason. I mentioned that yesterday on Around the League. We had a great show, great guest. D. Free was there. The great Nakomi was there. So definitely tap in with the show, man, if you guys missed it. But I'll tell you, man, that was one of my points is that Ja Morant, to me, should be on the chopping block. If I'm Memphis, you ain't going nowhere with him on your team. He sells tickets. He's excited to watch. Memphis loves him. That might be the only 3 reasons you hold on to him. But if you really want to build a winning culture, it starts at the top. It starts with the leadership on your team. They already fired the coach. Next, trade the star that's not going to elevate you, man. I think the slander that they gave Luka should have been the slander that they should give Ja. Okay, at this point. The immaturity, does he take it serious, all of that. So, yeah. Let's see. Brian says, I think the Grizzlies are going to trade Ja. More teams are realizing how important it is to not mess up a max contract. It can screw up the franchise for years. Yeah, bro. Look, I think it's going to happen too. And on top of that, you got to worry about, he plays so reckless. You got to worry about his health. If he gets injured or has some sort of a career sidetracking injury, his value is going to plummet. So even his trade value, everything. This would be the best time to trade him. Just like I predicted about Karl Anthony Towns the previous season. I said Timberwolves should trade him. They're not going to elevate much further with him. He really don't bring that toughness to the postseason. And they should, spend that money on Naz Reid. And they should also trade Rudy Gobert. Matter of fact, last night after Rudy Gobert fouled out, I know they need a 7-foot rim protector, but I think it's easier to find one, that's as skilled offensively as Rudy Gobert than it is, like, for example, we got Jackson Hayes. Rudy Gobert's a better defender than Jackson Hayes, sure, but not by a lot. That's why I never understood the Defensive Player of the Year awards. Let's be honest. Can Rudy Gobert guard fours and threes? No. Anthony Davis could. So to me, he should have been the Defensive Player of the Year, and just the impact he had was tremendous. But again, topic for another day. Let's see. I think the way the NBA CBA works, it may stop teams from going back to back. Some teams, the ones that are overpaying for sure, but the ones that are up and coming, I think they have a chance. Right? The ones that are up and coming. Look, for example, the Lakers. We have a lot of cap flexibility, especially once LeBron comes off the books, and we're already going to contend this year. So if we can get better, I've been hearing rumors that LeBron will take a pay cut. I'll believe it when I see it. But if he did take a pay cut, hypothetically speaking, then all of a sudden it would open up so many more opportunities to get better and to, get a good role player too. So I think some teams are going to get better, and they're going to use the CBA to finesse other teams out of trades and stuff like that. But we'll see. Again, time will tell. My guy Reese. It's still crazy that all these guys, Zion, Ja, and Joel, are still on their original teams, but Luka gets traded. Thanks, Nico. There will never be I think there will never be an intelligent explanation for that trade. I don't think there is. I'm still mind boggled that we have him, right? And for the small price we paid, because we literally, they could have emptied us out. They could have made us give up Reeves. It still would have been a good trade, as great as Reeves is. But it would have been more questionable then, but or more even. But they could have made us give up Dalton. They could have made us give up the picks. And all we gave up was 8. Now, I don't want to say all we gave up because AD is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But at his age, with some of his recent injury history, I wouldn't have did that if I was the Dallas Mavericks GM. Max Christie, who's, again, role player, but I've always said role players can be replaced. And one first-round pick. That's it. We're still able to keep 2 of our first-round picks and pick swaps. What a genius deal by Rob that's going to be praised for years to come. Dan, do you see Giannis going to a new team or requesting out? There's a chance. Yes, I definitely see him going to a new team when his contract expires. He's super loyal, though. I'm not sure if he will request a trade, but you never know, man. He wants to compete. He's been on the record as saying that. If they're not competitive this year and next year, he might request a trade. Maybe even sooner than we think. Let's see. Blue Oak says, Luka has big shoes to fill. I just hope he remembers to be himself on and off the court. We all should. Absolutely. Agree with that, Blue Oak. Let's see. I believe that either Giannis or Ant will be on the Lakers next. Ant is my dark horse, but a lot of things would have to happen in our favor. Now that Glenn Taylor sold the team, Alex Rodriguez, good friends with Magic Johnson. I know Magic has nothing to do with the Lakers. Wink, wink. But you never know, man. You never know if Ant ever becomes disgruntled being in the Timberwolves. And I can definitely see the Lakers putting together a nice little package to try to acquire him. And somebody said earlier they wouldn't do Reeves for Ant. I love Reeves. He's my favorite non-drafted player on the Lakers all time. But if Ant becomes available and you can pair him up with Luka, you got to be smart. This is where I say we got to remove our feelings from the players. Love Austin, and I'm not putting him on the trade block for nothing. But if Ant becomes available, you better bet your ass I'm putting together a package with Austin Reeves. And if there's a way to keep him, which there shouldn't be, come on now. Thank you, Kimiko. Appreciate you. The depoys were because he held opponents to crazy low percentages when he was on the floor and anchored a subpar defense in Utah and made them a top 7 one each year. I still don't think he was the best defensive player of the year that year. And that's what I'm saying. There's always going to be translations of awards and how they should be handed off. When I look at Rudy Gobert, I definitely don't see a 3-time defensive player of the year. When I look at AD, I could see that. I could see them titles going to him. And I don't think it's fair that in a league where they both played in their primes, and AD could actually guard 1 through probably even 5 in certain situations. We give it to the one center that's not as versatile, who's a one-trick pony and can mainly guard 5s, some 4s, the slow ones. I don't agree with Rudy Gobert being the defensive player of the year on most of those years. I'd say he's lucky if he would have got 1. But 3 times is blasphemy, and the same thing they're going to try to do with Jokic. I wouldn't be surprised they try to give it to Jokic again this year just because he just dropped 60, even though the younger player has a better record, and putting up equally as impressive stats. AD got severely snubbed. I'm saying it happened, and it'll happen. It'll continue to happen. I wouldn't be shocked if Austin Reeves isn't even in the conversation with most improved. Like, we're going to get snubbed, and it wouldn't surprise me at this point. But, man, it's just that the Kobe MVP hurt me the most because Steve Nash was great, but, they rewarded him for seeding when Kobe was clearly the better player. Now they don't reward seeding because if that was the case, they would have gave Shea the MVP award last year. So they don't reward seeding no more. Let's see if they finally reward seeding this year, or unless their agenda is clear, just to give it to their golden child who they had marching to the free throw line last night. Right? Dan, did you hear JJ Redick thoughts on Most Improved Player of the Year award? No, I actually haven't seen. I read about it, but I didn't really see the clip. What did he say exactly? Is it something similar to what I said about the definition of the awards being so different? Without AD, we literally had no defense. I'm saying, bro. And again, when I look at a defensive player of the year, I look at, like you said, you subtract him, how's the team going to look? Defensively, we would have been cooked all those years, especially the ones he was forced to play at the 5. Rudy Gobert, you can make a case that sometimes there might be more mobile and better, without him. I understand he's a decent anchor in the paint. I'll give him that. But 3-time Defensive Player of the Year award is an atrocity, man. If Jokic gets MVP, Kobe got snubbed of at least 3 or 4. Regardless of whatever happens with Jokic, Kobe got snubbed, bro. We saw it. Thank you, Kimiko. Appreciate you. All right, before I get off of here, guys, let's go ahead and review the power rankings. Haven't seen those. It is NBA Weekly, so let's make sure we go ahead and review and see where they got us in the ESPN power rankings. So, of course, Utah, mega trash, they're 30. Washington, Charlotte, all tanking teams. It'll be crazy, though, if Philly gets the number 1 overall pick. Obviously 25-53, one of the worst records this year. But who would have thought, man, with PG and Joel, man, injury riddled. And even right now, Tyrese Maxey's been out. I have him on my fantasy roster. So hopefully it doesn't cost me. Brooklyn, where's all the D-Lo fans at? If he was this good, he didn't make a single impact on this team, all right? So Toronto, San Antonio, who I thought would be better, but Wemby went down, followed by Fox, which explains this record here. New Orleans, again, big disappointment. They've always had talent, never was able to put it together. Portland been actually a little bit better, but still, Miami, the whole Jimmy Butler situation threw them off, so I'm going to give them a pass, even though, they are ranked 21 in the power rankings. This team right here is a complete atrocity right here. The Phoenix Suns, a complete and total utter atrocity. Chicago Bulls, Shy City, man, 34-42. I'm still embarrassed. They just clinched the playoff spot, but I'm still embarrassed. We lost twice to this garbage-ass team. Garbage. This after they traded Zach LaVine. Orlando Magic, 37-40. The only reason they're this low is because of the injuries they went through earlier. Sacramento, again, overrated. Dallas has impressed me because they went through so many injuries, probably more than anybody in the season. And there they are. There they are, still on the fringe of making the play-in tournament at 37-39. They've looked great with Anthony Davis. Whenever he does play, I think they're still undefeated. Not sure. I got to double-check that. Maybe they lost one already. But, Dallas has been impressive for, their horrible trade they made with us and everything. In spite of that, Atlanta, kind of where I thought they would be, which is why I thought trade would have been traded by now. Milwaukee has underachieved with all the talent they've had, and then it looks like Damian Lillard is out for the foreseeable future. Detroit has overachieved like crazy. We lost both of our games to them this season, and they hurt a lot. But I mean, credit to their coaching staff; they got them playing well, and they are 14 in the power or 13 in the power rankings. Flippers, this is the biggest fraud franchise ever, man. Fraud team right here. 10 games over 500. How? I'll tell you how. Their coaching is amazing. Tyronn Lue will get the lemon juice out of the driest lemon you could find out there. And that's what the Clippers are. I mean, he's maximized all their, talentless potential in spite of Kawhi being gone most of the year and everything. So credit to Tyronn, but I can't wait for them to get knocked off because they're always a pretender. The Knicks, underwhelming. Currently, how are they looking right now? Let's see the score right now. Knicks versus Cavs. Cavs are up by 6. Knicks got to put up a fight, though. I still think they could be a dark horse in the East. It'll be interesting to see if they step up, But Thibs runs them to the ground every year, so nothing would shock me. Timberwolves were 10th last week, and they're 10th now. Big game yesterday. Shout out to Ant. Shout out to Julius. They all had big games yesterday, in spite of Naz Reid and a couple other players missing. Credit to them, man. It hasn't been easy to adjust to their new trade. They, again, dealt with injuries. They've dealt with some things, but there they are, where I thought they would be. Fringe playoff team, currently sitting at number 7 in the West. And, again, this is one of the few teams I would prefer we avoided in the first round. Not saying we're scared of them, but just preferred because they're young, they're athletic, they got a lot of size. They're going to be a problem. Then you got Memphis, another pretending-ass team. 44-32, but they got one of the weakest leaders, and they just fired their head coach. Not expecting nothing from them this playoffs. All right, I'd be shocked if they get it out of the first round, depending on the matchup, though. Indiana Pacers. They've been a little underwhelming, but they're as of late they've been playing a lot better. Tyrese Halliburton started the year slow, picked it up since then. Golden State, they are one of the most boring teams to watch. Screen, 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 shoot threes, moving, screen, play dirty, shoot threes. We don't even want to talk about them. All right. The Lakers. We moved up from 7 to 6. A lot of people have given up on my Lakers over the last couple of weeks, including ESPN. Some of them were saying we're not real contenders. Shout out to the ones that stuck through it. You know, you got to see the big picture here. We went through injuries. We came back. We're starting to play a little bit better now. It's time to put the stamp on the season by beating Golden State tomorrow. Okay, followed by New Orleans on the next day because it's a back-to-back. So hopefully we're able to put a stamp on the season. Denver, again, another overrated-ass team. Jokic has had a great season statistically. So has Shea. I'm rocking with Shea for MVP. I'm rocking with Shea, the better team, the better record, and similar numbers. So I'm rocking with Shea for sure, even though I'm not a big fan of his flopping. Same goes with Jokic. Both of these guys are master floppers. 24 free throws yesterday. Be ashamed of yourself. Houston Rockets. All right, the Houston Rockets, still like a year ahead. This team's going to be dangerous, though. We've seen how much firepower they have. They get rid of Dylan Brooks, I think they'll be in better shape. I just don't like what he does to the opposition as far as riling up superstars and getting cooked at the end. His numbers, he's shooting a career high from beyond the arc, all that. The stat nerds will get on that. But I'll tell you right now, I think they'll be better off once other guys take the helm there and they're able to, produce without the immaturity of a Dylan Brooks. Boston, 13 in the power rankings, still the team to beat, still the defending champions. I hate to say it sounds gross, but they are. All right, number 3. Number 2, Cleveland. I got high hopes for Cleveland. I hope Cleveland can pull it off. They haven't proven they can do it in the playoffs, but hopefully this is the year they can do it. That way they can eliminate Boston. All right, this is the more surefire bet. While New York is my dark horse, this is my favorite to beat Boston here. Hopefully they can do it. And then OKC, number 1, nobody's surprised there. They've been up there all year long, man, doing great things, guys. And that is your power rankings for the evening. I think for the most part, they got it right. I would put the Lakers over the Nuggets. So that's the biggest difference for me. And I would knock the Golden State Warriors down a couple of notches, right? But all right, guys, it's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. I might do some gaming tonight. We'll see later on tonight. So tap in for that. Make sure you guys do smack the like button, man. I do appreciate you guys always. Hopefully you guys enjoyed another episode of NBA Weekly, and I'll see you guys with another episode next week right before the playoffs. So it's going to get better and better. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. And for those of you that game with me, I will see y'all over on playback. All right, have a great night. Peace.